Incoming Vice President. We're going to get started here today. I'd like to thank the great city of Tampa, Vicki Pratt Boone and her crew for setting this up. What a great venue. So thank you very much. Thank you very much. Just bear with us as we go through some little hiccups. This is our first time through, so we're getting this done. Today we're fortunate to have Michael Sims and Valerie Swartzmiller with us today. They're with Mr. Naturals Bee and Rescue. We're very fortunate to have them. They're very busy people, and we're looking forward to their presentation today. So without further ado, once Michael is done, then we'll open it up for questions, and we'll get started.
Thank you, Jay.
Hi guys, I'm Michael. My wife Valerie, as Jay said, I first want to say thank you to everyone for coming, and thank you T-Base, especially Jay, for inviting me to speak today. We have a bee rescue out of St. Pete, Florida, obviously, and we relocate all around Pinellas, Hillsborough,
The Tampa Bay area.
Tampa Bay area. Our mission is to save as many bees as possible and to teach people the importance of bees. So I guess I'll start out with, we're registered beekeepers and we have a few apiaries around town in St. Pete. And I mentor a few hundred people here and there, people online and in person. I'd like to say about the importance of bees, number one. People understand the importance of the honeybee, which is Apis mellifera, is the genre of bee. There's different subspecies or subraces of bees, like Africanized, German, Italian. The European honeybee is what we strive to keep because they're less defensive. But the importance of bees are pollination, number one. You don't realize that every third bite that you take is because of the honeybee, no matter what it is. And people will think, well, what about dairy, like dairy and pigs and cows? We wouldn't have those without bees either because they have to eat. Yeah, there's me. That's how people have a misunderstanding of bees. They think that they're extremely aggressive, and they're not. They're very docile as long as you know what you're doing. But
Don't do this at home.
yeah, don't try that. I didn't get one sting that day, and there was probably 60,000 bees in that colony. I call them colonies when they're in the wild because that's what they are. They're a bee colony. They're not a hive until I put them into a hive box. But that's one of our jobs. I forget where that was, but it was a great one. They're all great. We really enjoy it. Let's see. Sorry, my damn ring's going on.
All right.
Well, that's in the middle. There is queen bee, and these are all her workers around. If you see. Okay, sorry about that. A little bit louder, I guess. Let me take this off. If you look at the picture here, there's a picture obviously of bees. There's mostly females. Well, that's the thing about honeybees is they're made up mostly about 95% female. And the females are the ones that do all the work. They're the workers, the foragers. Yeah. If you can see, there's the queen, the real large one, obviously. When she moves around the hive, she demands respect. And they're not allowed to touch her, or they have to face her when she walks around. To help her, they feed her. When she poops, they take out the poop. She never leaves the hive until she swarms, which can be up to 3 years or so. They can live to be 6 years. I'll go back to the last one now. Oh, okay, there we go. There's a drone. That's a male bee. The other two are worker bees. The male's only job in the hive is to procreate with the female. They don't work. They don't collect anything. They don't do anything. To the point that when they're born and they hatch, the females have to assist them out of their cell. They have to open the cell for them and go in and clean up after it for the drone. Whereas the females, when they're born, they have to get themselves out and they have to go back and clean up their own cell. Back to the queen, though, she'll stay in the hive for up to 6 years. She can live up to 6 years that we know of so far. I've had one, my longest, gone for 5 years. But basically, there's a really good one. I didn't take this picture; it's a stock photo because we don't have that good of a camera. But if you can see there, those are stick eggs, what we call stick eggs. A queen can lay up to 1,500 to 2,000 eggs a day. She never stops working, ever. I mean, her job, and she never sleeps. Bees don't sleep. But her job is to obviously to lay as many eggs as possible, and then what's called nurse bees come back and tend these bees. And that's day one. I can tell because they're still standing up. And the second and third day they'll start to lay down and curl and go into the larvae stage, and then they'll pupate, and then the bees will cap their cells, and they'll be born about 20 days later, 16 to 20 days later. As far as the jobs of bees, like I said, the males just procreate, that's it. They don't have any other job to do. But it sounds like a really nice life, but it's not. The downside is when they mate, she rips their junk out, they die. So, yeah, midair. They literally, it happens this fast. And she grabs hold of his junk and rips it out. So he's dead, he literally dies before he hits the ground. That's about 50 feet up. They have what we call drone colonies that fly around waiting for queens to emerge. But procreation obviously is very important for the for the bees. But other than that, we have nurse bees, we have mortuary bees. Their job is to bring out the dead. Because if you have a colony of 60,000 bees, they have a 30 to 35 day life cycle, you're losing tons of bees every day. If a bee knows it's sick, it'll leave the hive and it'll die alone because it doesn't want to infect the hive. If it dies in the hive, they'll drag it out. And another cool thing, I can bring a picture of this, but I can take a piece of yarn and drop it in a hive, and 2 days later it'll be sitting in front of the hive. They don't like anything in there that it's not theirs. But the bees, their jobs cycle throughout their life. They end up at the last 7 days. They don't fly until they're about 21 days old, and then they turn into a forager and they die. What is it about? That's just the honey takes. I forget the number. It's incredible. But one bee.
62,000 or something.
Yeah, one
like
bee in
that.
its whole life only makes 1/12 of a teaspoon of honey in its whole lifespan. Let's get to where bees are found, and this is where I stop it. This is where I come in. When people I started this about 8 years ago, I guess. Let me go back a little bit. My grandfather owned the orange groves. I'm from Lakeland, Florida, and used to be the orange capital of the world. Not so much anymore, but he owned tons of orange groves, and I was always around bees when I was a kid, so I was interested. And then I separated from my family, moved here to work, and got married a second time to a girl whose father was a beekeeper of 60 years, and he was a very close friend of mine until he passed about 4 years ago. But he got me heavily into bees, and he taught me the importance of bees, and the rest is pretty much hands-on experience. But like this job here, it's going to soften it in a house in St. Pete. Code enforcement was on them, and for some reason it's an act of God when bees land in your house, but the code department's, it's a threat to other people and their liability, so you have to get them out. But my whole goal with this work is to get legislation passed in Tallahassee to where it makes it not illegal, but where the code enforcement need to call someone like us, because there's a lot of us out there, believe it or not. Like in Pinellas County, there's 192 of us, that are beekeepers out of the 2 million people or so. Doesn't sound like much, but we can handle a lot of bees. I do around 150 colonies a year. Minimum. I used to do about 300, but I'm getting older and taking way too many stings. And that's another thing real quick about getting stung. People think that when you get stung that you build an immunity. It's the exact opposite, that you build a toxicity level in your system. So most beekeepers, unless they wear suits, which I don't ever, I don't wear any gear, unless I absolutely have to, the lifespan of a beekeeper is about 20 years, and you have to quit because you become definitely allergic. And I got another 20 years in me probably, but we'll see. But yeah, like these guys here, that's inside of a shed that we did who's now a friend of ours, Wayne. That's another good thing. All the people that we do jobs for, they become our friends, and we teach them a lot. That's actually an average size colony. It was about 8 feet tall, and that's a 24-inch span there on the studs. And we still have those bees. They're still in our backyard thriving. What's the next one? Yeah, this was a landscaping trailer. And this is where it gets a little nasty. These are Avis scuatera, which are Africanized honeybees. We call them AHBs. And a lot of people, this is where the saying killer bees came from. which is ridiculous because these bees are no different than the other bees. People think that they're aggressive, but they're not. Bees are simply defensive. There's no such thing as an aggressive bee, because that would insinuate that they're plotting. Wait for someone, I'm going to get them, But there's a big difference between Apis mellifera and Apis scolatara, the AHBs. These guys are the strongest species that we know of. They can survive the harshest of circumstances, and they're the best producers. Unfortunately, they're illegal to keep, and they should be illegal because most people can't handle working around these guys. Uh-oh. Anyway. Yeah, that's all right. But most people shouldn't be around these type of bees because if you have any nerves, if you're all nervous, they're going to attack you. And the difference between European bees, which are all the other races of bees, is a bee has a memory of 3 days that we know of, that I've experienced. And if you upset a colony of European honeybees, they stay angry, not angry, they stay defensive for about 5 minutes, and then they go right back to work. If you upset these guys, they stay agitated for 72 hours. And any person that walks by them will get attacked, whether it's an animal, a duck, an animal, dog, whatever, person. And that's the problem. You don't know it until you don't realize it until it's too late that you come across Africanized bees. And that's part of the reason, that's the main reason why the cities want to exterminate the bees, because they're misunderstood. They think that they're all like this, and they're simply not. Honestly, the Africanized honeybee will take over bees in the country. That's another thing. Bees didn't get here until 1622. They were brought into, I believe it was the colony of Richmond, Virginia. And they're not from here. They're not even really supposed to be here, so they have a lot of challenges. But it took another 234 or 231 years for them to get from Richmond to California. And now they're everywhere, obviously. But these guys are moving in, they're coming on the cargo ships. That's all right. They're coming on cargo ships in the port of Tampa, and people stumble across them, and boom, they attack. And another difference with these guys is regular European honeybees, when they attack, 3 or 4 or 5 maybe will attack you just to get you away. And they'll get in your face and do this. And I don't know if you've ever seen a bee come up to your face and do this. They're warning you to back up. Well, these guys, there's no warning. They attack not in 3 or 4 or 5, they attack in waves of 500 at a time. So if you get stuck by these guys, you're in big trouble. But eventually they are going to take over the region because they're so much more powerful than all the Europeans. See that one? Oh yeah, barbecue grill. We find them in really interesting places. That's obviously a barbecue grill, houses, soffits, computer towers, jacuzzis, what else? A gas tank. Underneath mobile homes. That's an exterior, what we call an exterior colony, and that's basically what happens when, let me go back a little bit more. When bees are in a box or in a hive, and they run out of room, they're starting to run out of room, the queen will make a new queen, so they can keep their species going. These guys, when the new queen is born, the old queen will take half the bees with them, and after she sends a scout, they can find a new place to live. It's incredible. So you have a hive right here, and she sends scouts out to find a new place to live. The scouts will go up to 2 miles away and come back and tell her, I found a place for, a nice place for us to live. Then she sends a cleaning crew. The cleaning crew of about 500 bees goes and cleans up the area and gets it. They do what's called propolization. They seal the whole surface area with propolis, and it makes it sterile. I'm trying to think where I was going. But in the meantime, when they come back and they say, okay, it's ready, then the queen says, okay, let's go. So the bees, they have 2 stomachs, and they'll consume as much honey as they can and take it with them. Because when they're traveling, these guys were traveling, and they're headed somewhere, and they have no comb, so there's no honey to eat. Honey is their food source, by the way, and many people don't understand that. They don't just make it for no reason. But these guys were mid-swarm, and I didn't see it happen, but I know because of my experience. They were mid-swarm, and they got rained on. The queen she's so fat, she has approximately 8 million sperm cells in her body because she mates with around 16 bees each time, once in her life. When she comes out on her mating flight, goes back in. Anyway, this was a mid-flight, a mid-swarm, and she has to stop every 15 or 20 feet because she's so heavy. If you saw the other picture of the queen, her wings are less than half the length of her body. She can barely fly. So she has to stop and stop and stop, and it could be a 2-mile venture that they're going to. But if it rains, they're cold-blooded animals. So they freeze up, and that's how they end up in trees like that, the big exterior hives, because they get rained on, and the queen said, screw it, start building. This is where we're going to live. Here's one in a shed, underneath of a shed, and this was one of the code jobs in Pinellas. When you first see that, it looks scary, but it's really not. Like I said, I don't have any gear on because I don't have a fear of bees. I have no fear of insects or heights or anything like that.
I think that was in Pinellas Park. I think
Yeah,
that was one of
jobs.
Jay's.
It looks menacing when you, for someone to see, like, oh my God, you know. But they're just doing their job. I mean, that's what they do. There's one that was inside of a tree that we forced out. That's another cool thing. There's another way we get bees out. If I can't physically cut a wall open and pull it down and scoop them out with my hands, which I do, go back to the trap. I'll set what's called a trap out.
I got it.
Yeah.
Don't
There we go.
panic.
It's the one with the tree. Yeah, there it is. It's hard to see, but there's a box there. And what I did was I take a wire mesh and make a cone with it. I put it over their entrance. It's about 18 inches long. They have parabolic eyes, so they can't see the grids in the screen. It screws their eyes up. So instead of going in the end of the funnel, going back into their hive, they go out and they can't get back in. So they gather around the base of that funnel. In the meantime, all their entrances are clogged. This is like the fourth day that I trapped them out. And that's the amount of bees that were inside of a little knothole this big, inside of an old thing. I believe it was a rubber tree, or I don't remember, but it was an old rotten tree.
That was in Pinellas. That was in Old Northeast.
Yeah, that's right. And basically what I do is I bait that box up there with queen bait, with dead queens that I use. There's so much detail to it, but every couple of years, queen bee will start becoming less productive. And if I don't get in there and pinch them out, which literally means I pinch her head off, and I replace them with one of my other queens. If I don't do it, the bees are going to do it. But if I save them the time by doing that, because they'll sometimes let her go too far and they can lose their colony. Bees in a tire. These guys were pretty gnarly. But again, these were Africanized bees, and that's what I'm getting at with the AHBs, is we can requeen these bees and they become brand new bees because of their life cycle. Their life cycle is only 30 to 40 days for the females. So basically, after I requeen them, 45 days later, it's all new bees, and they'll follow her lead because she's laying her eggs that aren't AHBs and are Africanized. That's in our backyard, which I thought was a pretty cool picture. I can take a jar of honey and pour it on a sidewalk anywhere in the country, and within 10, 20 minutes it's gone. The bees find it and they come take it back. I mean, obviously she's feeding off my hand there with her proboscis. Let's see. Oh, forced abscond. That's another one. Obviously, if they have a swarm, I can catch them. If I catch them while they're swarming, I just grab the queen. I know how to find her. Put her in a little queen clip, and put her in a box, and the bees follow. And then you have a cutout, which is literally cutting out a wall or a shed floor, or any structure. Then you have the trap out, which is the cone, which I bait them out, and they can't get back in. Then we have what's called a forced abscond. If we have a job where it's a very time restrained job, they have to get out now, they're destroying the house or something, I'll take what's called Bee Quick. It's a solution that someone made years ago for extracting honey. But it's a liquid they don't like the smell of. It's almond oil, and they can't stand it for some reason. But if I want to get them out really fast, I have a nebulizer with a little stone on the end, and I push it down inside the nest with a tube, turn it on, put the drops in there, and they come flooding out. I mean, it's incredible to see. 30, 40,000 bees just come rushing out. But that's a worker bee. What's the next pictures? Oh yeah, call it beekeeper. Again, back to the legislation thing we're working on. We're trying to get it to where they call us, someone like me, to come out and relocate them instead of killing them. Because if we lose our bees, we're in big trouble. Huge trouble. People don't understand how much trouble we would be in. But I believe that humans couldn't have even evolved without bees, because we wouldn't have had the food to eat. Literally, and the livestock wouldn't have had food to eat. Like back in when they first got here in 1622, when they started emerging out west, they realized these guys are pollinators. So that's how they got their rye, they got their wheat, and they found out these guys, not only they're not bad, they're really good for us. And without them, we're in trouble. But like rye, we wouldn't have beer without bees. We wouldn't have a lot of things without bees. Let's see, what else? I get a little stretched out here. Oh, it's needless to bees. Again, I don't wear any gear. That was a job in St. Pete.
Bees in a tree.
Yeah, I was in a tree that had fallen. A long guy cut a tree down and fell, and they got attacked. And they said, "There's no way you can go near these bees. They're going to attack you." I said, "No, I'm good. I'm good with them." And I didn't get one sting that day either. But that's why I like to show these. I'm not trying to brag by not wearing gear. I'm trying to teach people that they're not that bad. They're not, they're not a terrible creature. They just need our help. Let's see what else.
So, questions? Open up for questions.
What's that?
Questions?
Oh, if anyone has any questions, yeah, I'm open to any questions at all. I'm a little scatterbrained. I'm a little nervous. Sorry. Yes.
Say I had some bees in my soffit. What would it take to get you? What would it cost? You do it for free. What's involved?
Very good question. I used to do this for free until we got on channel 13, channel 8, and channel 10, and then all of a sudden the phone started exploding. 50 calls a day sometimes, and we couldn't do it. We figured we spent about $15,000 over a 2 or 3 year period doing this, and it just wasn't sustainable for us. But our prices for a trap out is $150 bucks. To do a cutout, it's around $250. A lot of people don't want to do that, obviously.